It is, of course, again, our man, Jermaine Cole. Mr. J.Cole is on the docket. And Alex, I just want to give you the floor, man. How do you feel about J. Cole's newest track? And how do you just feel about him in the situation as a whole with the big three?
I definitely feel like I don't think he did anything wrong, in my opinion. Like I was telling Ethan before, I think that he did what he did in, not only giving praise to himself, but him, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar took that as however he wanted to take it. Shot back, said, fuck the big three. Okay, you know what? That's cool.
That's the energy we got.
At that point, you got to defend yourself. So I understand. I like the jab he took back. But once he realized that it was a lot deeper, he took a step back. I don't think there was anything wrong with
that. And I mean, sorry, I just want to say something because as the other J. Cole defender here, I will say the 7-minute drill. I even said it after it came out. Is we knew that these weren't hitting deeper. He wasn't going at anything personal. He was attacking Kendrick's discography, which was really bad because why would you attack Kendrick's discography? But it's because he didn't want to come at him personally. He knew what this was. He knew that it was going to get really messy and he wanted to keep his mental health out of it. And I can't blame him. And that's why I still stand by him, E.
See, I won't take this gaslighting by two master manipulators right here. That I will not do. That will not happen. Not on my watch. For those who are new to the subject right here, of course, we had the biggest hip-hop battle ever this past summer between Kendrick or Drake and Cole for about 5 minutes. But the reason why this is brought up again
7 minutes.
It's 7 minutes because J. Cole dropped a new track called Porto Antonio on Instagram. And I have this whole theory that we can say for this episode or another episode with artists now dropping a lot of their music. I don't know if you guys have been noticing. These artists are dropping a lot of their music on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
None of these songs are showing up on streaming. And I have a theory when it comes to it that I'll say, I guess, towards the end of the topic as a little Easter egg. But I like the track. Surprisingly, I really, really like the track. It samples Jay-Z's Dead Presidents. My issue comes with the apology of it, right? So during the track, you can obviously tell through certain lines that J. Cole knows that Drake definitely feels a way about how he handled the whole him and Kendrick beef. You could tell that Drake definitely feels that that Cole left him out to dry. Point blank, period. I think we kind of got that feeling from Drake, especially with him having the burner account plot twist and him liking certain tweets and IG posts about J. Cole making sleepy music or J. Cole being quote unquote pussy when it comes to the beef. And honestly, I gotta stand with Drake and the sentiment again of how Cole handled it. Again, I'm with you guys, right? See, this is what the J. Cole fans like to do. He's protecting his mental health, and if he don't want to take personal shots, that's just not within him. Duh, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to do some stuff that ain't them, that ain't in their heart of hearts. Because at the end of the night, they're the one that's gonna have to go to sleep at night and live with it. Not none of his fans that just want to see the battle be for the battle and want to see our artists come out on top, right? I understand that, right? You should do stuff for yourself. But 7-minute drill existed. He shot back. Now, whether the shot was good or bad, you can leave it up to interpretation. I don't think 7-minute drill was a bad diss track. I'm not going to be like, well, actually, Kendrick's diss track Kendrick's albums are really good. No, nigga. If I'm Cole, fuck your albums. All your albums are sleepy. Fuck it. I'm with it. I'm with it. For the sake of the diss, you got to say some shit that's not true. I'm with it. Sometimes that's how it is. You guys all remember being in the lunchroom and you got to roast somebody back about having dirty, dry skin or a little head or a big forehead. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That shit most of the time is not true. But sometimes you just got to make a diss just to make a diss. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to yeah. You just got to take the shot. So I'm not mad at that from J. Cole. Yeah. My issue comes with how he apologized. To this day, how he apologized on that stage will be one of the biggest stains of his career. If J. Cole would have just been he would have made 7-minute drill, right? Dreamville Fest would have happened. He didn't even have to mention 7-minute drill because it happened a week or so after, or 2 days after the track came out. If Kendrick and Drake would have had that back and forth and behind the scenes, he would have told the both of them, yo, I hear what y'all about to do to each other. I don't want no parts of it. And that'll be that. If he would have behind the scenes done that, and I guess not give us too much of a peek behind the Wizard of Oz curtain, I wouldn't have a problem with it. because it's like you're not necessarily taking back the diss track, but you're telling those two like, yo, if this is where y'all going, I don't want none of it. I still stand by the diss track I made to you, Kendrick, because if this is the sparring me and you can do, I'm down to do this. You know what I'm saying? But this whole thing of, oh, I'm like Mike and Red Leather. I'm standing between the both of y'all. Like all the blood end up on me. I don't like that because J. Cole, what fucking blood ended up on you?
Can I touch on that?
Absolutely, Alex.
Okay. I feel like in that situation, people were gonna bash on him regardless, whether he stood 10 toes on the diss track or whether he apologized behind the scenes. I think he was gonna get bashed for it regardless because he's already been getting bashed years prior to him not dissing anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted J. Cole for so long to start actually, beefing with somebody. He stayed out of everything. Sadly, he actually had to get into it with one of his friends because believe it or not, they're actually friends outside of music.
Do you guys believe that? Do you guys believe that
I genuinely think they were.
That Cole is friends with Kendrick Drake? Like, actually, in your heart of hearts, do you believe that they're friends?
I'm not saying Drake. I'm not saying Drake at all. I think he might be cordial with Drake, but I think that him and Kendrick were actually like cooler on a deeper level. Maybe not like best of friends, like grew up together, but they were definitely like cool enough to,
Mm-hmm.
I would say at least J. Cole thinks so.
Yeah, at least from one perspective.
So, I don't know. That's my whole thing with these musicians. I don't believe that none of them are friends. I guess this is the story that I've heard about certain musicians and my time researching certain things in the music industry, especially certain accounts when it comes to these artists. But I don't believe none of these guys are friends. And I believe that everything is done with the idea of their PR and their self-image and branding. Kendrick and Cole and Drake are all tied to each other because of the blog era, because of them being the big three. The one thing that stood out to me and was apparently evident throughout this entire beef is Cole is the only one that thought he was on that all three were all buddy. The other two made it very clear they were not buddy with each other.
Well, it's because like
for a long time,
it's an interesting dynamic because it's like imagine if like all three of us, right, and me and Alex hate each other, like we just can't fucking stand each other. But Ethan, you love both of us, and then like we start beefing, and you want to bring him on the pod.
I hear you. But if I'm hearing from both of y'all all the time about how like, Ethan, I'm not really rocking with Gage like that. Like, I guess he's alright. Like, he's cool for like to talk to. Sometimes he's friendly, but like we're not really close like that. I'm not gonna keep saying, "Oh, it's the three amigos. It's us, the three amigos." And I feel like that's what Cole backed himself between a corner and a hard place. A rock and a hard place. You know what I'm saying? He kept pushing this big three. We're the big three. We're the Spider-Man meme looking at each other. Da 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 da. Them other two boys did not think about it like that. They did not. And so when the battle happened, it kind of left him in a spot of he not necessarily had to pick a side, but now J. Cole, you can't be friendly with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just keep doing this kumbaya. We'll all be friends. Let's not make a thing personal. Because them two boys, the boy up north and Mr. 5'5" out west, they made it very clear that them two brothers had no issue taking to where they go. And that's my other issue with J. Cole is in the Port Antonio track, he talks about how these guys are doing it for clicks and he's doing it. These guys are doing the battle for clicks and all this other stuff. Well, J. Cole, you did it too. Don't act like you're holier than thou because you took back the apology or took back the diss. You threw a punch and are now trying to actively take away the punch. That's my thing too. Just own up to the punch that it happened. Don't be holier than thou and, oh, these brothers is only doing it for clicks and da 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 da. No, that's when I feel like you're not in a position to give these two advice on how they handled the beef. They chose the path that they chose because now these two are having, I guess, personal marks on their character. Kendrick is now being called a W abuser by certain parties. Now Drake is being called a pedophile. These are the hills that these two decided to die on when it came to dissing each other. So don't now start giving these two advice.
You know, I think that's a fair point to give you because this is the one thing I will say, even as a J. Cole defender, is I think that the way that he has acted retroactively after these things has really hurt him in these positions, which is really, really weird because normally we would see artists like do this kind of stuff like on social media, but J. Cole isn't that kind of guy. He's not on Instagram Live. He's not tweeting any about this shit. The way he did it on a stage, and then now to put out a song when this is like the only time we ever hear from him, it's just I don't know. I think you do have a point, E. Like just retroactively.
You see what I'm saying? Like you can't like you like again. You got into an argument within friends, right? Where you you have one buddy that wants to stay out of it. Okay, then stay out of it. Don't jump in, jump out, and then have the nerve to comment on how me and you acted. You know what I'm saying? Because Alex, you can attest to this. You got into. I'm of the mindset. Sometimes you got to fight with your friends in the aspect of like. Sometimes you got to get into arguments with friends, and some shit is kind of better off left. Maybe I shouldn't repeat or I shouldn't say again. But at the same time, it's like, dog, don't start giving me advice about how I handle this situation when you don't want no parts of it. You know what I'm saying?
I would say, personally, I think that it's not necessarily him telling him what to do because, like you were saying, you know, I think it's more so once he realized that it was more of a personal jab, he decided to step back. And then Kendrick obviously was like, okay, you know better. And Drake felt some kind of way because, like you said, he left him out to dry. And I really don't think that has anything to do with him because Drake was beefing with everybody else prior to the fact.
Yeah.
So I don't think that had anything to do with him. If you want to feel some kind of way, in my opinion, by all means, feel whatever way you want to do it. But going on burner accounts and liking shit about people calling them pussy and, you know, backing out or whatever, I personally don't think that. I think that at that point, that's when, you know, you got to stand up for something and then be like, okay, well, now I'm in the middle of this because now you don't fuck with me because I didn't do this with him. And now you are like, you know, kind of like you took a shot at me for what? Took it back. You got deep. You're mad that I apologized. That's on y'all.
I feel that.
Honestly, I feel that too, of like the sense of like, I don't think Drake can be mad. I think Drake has every right to be mad, and J. Cole can't do anything about it. Even though he apologized, Drake has every right to be upset. But I think I speak for you and me, and maybe for a lot of the hip hop community, maybe not. I don't care. I'm just looking forward to J. Cole's next album. He's still one of the best technical rappers alive. And like, yes, this is obviously going to leave a stain. When we were talking about the big three, we knew J. Cole was not the number one guy. Even I can accept it. I love the guy, but we knew Kendrick has the better discography, all that stuff.
I'm delusional. That's my number one.
It's okay though. It's okay. The Gemini out west taught you boys something, a good old lesson this summer. A good lesson. A good lesson this summer.